Next thing I want to talk about is campaign finance reform. So last year, the Mississippi Senate unanimously passed a bill that would require Mississippi politicians to itemize campaign spending done with a credit card instead of just listing lump sum payment to the card company, as many have been doing for years on their public reports. So the current law in Mississippi states that politicians must itemize purchases of $200 or more, but many legislators have gotten around this by using a lump sum from the credit card statement. So in other words, they list their $10,000 credit card statement as one item instead of breaking it down to what that $10,000 paid for. And that's been a problem many people have brought up in the legislature. However, that Senate bill, which was passed, was ultimately shot down in the House with only a voice vote with no roll call. And House Speaker Philip Gunn ruled that the noes were the loudest. In fact, many criticized Gunn for how the vote was handled, especially since Gunn himself had spent over $100,000 on campaign credit cards with no itemization. However, now, Speaker Gunn said last month that campaign finance reform will be a top priority this session. So, Cory, what is on the agenda for campaign finance reform?
I think it's going to be a top priority this session. It surely is. It is for me too. I think some of the things you talked about in terms of the laxness of our campaign finance laws are ridiculous, and we need to change them.
And the Lieutenant Governor has been fully behind this kind of effort as well.
Well, the Senate added campaign finance provisions to a broader bill. It was actually several hundred pages long. It was an update of the election code. It cleaned up some things, and it was a comprehensive thing that the Secretary of State's office, as well as circuit clerks and election commissioners, they'd had a whole group working on a cleanup bill for, I don't know, a better part of a couple of years. And the House actually passed that bill, sent it over to the Senate. The Senate added some campaign finance provisions in it. The credit card provision was actually in the version that the House passed, if I remember correctly. But the Senate added some very good provisions to regulate and tighten our campaign finance laws. I had the privilege of being on the conference committee that was going to work out the differences between the bills. And I'll tell you, Speaker Gunn was a backer of campaign finance reform last session. And I know that because we worked together with Chairman Bill Denny, who's head of the Election and Apportionment Committee, to help craft that conference report, the actual campaign finance amendments that came out for consideration. So, you know, it's a process. Sometimes you get it real close to the finish line and it doesn't quite make it. I was disappointed when the bill failed at the last minute, but I'll tell you that I've got a campaign finance reform bill. I think the Speaker does, and Chairman Denny does, and Hank Zuber, who is a representative from Ocean Springs.
Okay, so there's a lot of bills coming up on this.
I think there will be a campaign finance bill that comes out this year and gets some debate, and we need to do it. I mean, like you said, the credit card deal, to me, that's ridiculous. A credit card isn't a vendor. It's a way you pay your vendors, and you ought to itemize things. I use my own credit card for some campaign expenses, and I reimburse those. But you can rest assured when I file my campaign finance disclosures, I can tell you whatever it is, and it's all campaign related. But we also have lax laws that allow public office holders to use campaign funds to buy personal things like clothing and travel. And there are a lot of other examples that have happened.
Just multiple.
And most people don't realize that when you leave office, if you have a balance in your campaign account, you can take it with you legally.
Really?
And you got to pay tax on things that are personal expenditures, but I don't think that's what most people have in mind when they donate to a campaign and when a candidate raises money. And I think we should be better stewards. We should be about transparency, and we should be about cleaning up the way politics as usual works.